Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. I want to welcome you to our weekly webinar, and the title is Your Weekly Trading Plan. And of course, a special welcome to new people. And for you, a few words about the webinar. What we're trying to do here, it's very simple. Create the plan, create the structure to kind of remove the spontaneous trading. And as I always say, the traders like to say you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And planning in general, in other aspects of our lives, it's a good thing. And of course, it doesn't guarantee results or positive results, but it definitely improves things and have a direction for us and structure and kind of an organized way of trading. Few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I've been trading for 23 years. I started in June of 2000 when there was a bubble bursting of dot-coms. And since then, I've been involved in trading. And for about 11 years, I was in intense environment as a proprietary trader. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And after that, I moved into a less stressful environment. And I started to mentor and educate other traders. And currently, I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to help our customers at AvaTrade. The webinar agenda. Usually we talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex, and today is going to be the same thing. Before that, we try to talk a little bit about the big picture and touch the economic calendar. We'll get there at the moment. Okay, a risk warning. You can find the full statement of risk warning at avatrade.com. What we do here is simply trying to give you education. We do not suggest the trades, of course. And these are the channels. You have Telegram, Twitter, and YouTube channel, and I highly recommend for you to subscribe. There's a lot of daily updates. My favorite one, of course, it's YouTube. You can find, besides all the tutorials and educational material, you can find webinars uploaded regularly. You can just subscribe to it and click on that bell. You'll be notified. If you missed the webinar, you can find it on YouTube. If you feel that this is useful, please feel free to share, subscribe, write your comments. I would appreciate that. It would be great to see comments from you. And let's start. We'll start with economic calendar, and then we'll go into discussing the big picture of the week that just ended and the upcoming week. So Sunday, which is today, we have the manufacturing index from Japan. Monday, manufacturing PMI from China, consumer price index from Switzerland, and manufacturing PMI from US. Now, Tuesday, just to remind everyone, it's Independence Day in the States. The markets in the United States are going to be closed. It's the holiday where people travel, they enjoy barbecues and other things. I think it's one of the most traveled day in the States. So you have interest rate decision from Australia, and that's on Tuesday, 4th of July. Wednesday, we have PMI numbers or service PMI numbers from China, another round of news. As we know, China is being watched closely. Lately, they're not doing so great. And we have FOMC minutes from the Feds, very important on Wednesday. Thursday, we have a trade balance from Australia, retail sales from Europe or European Union, and we have ADP employment change from the States. That's kind of a preliminary. It gives us a little bit of a taste what happens the next day. And we have service PMI from US. And here comes the Friday, the non-farm payroll, and also employment data from Canada, and President of European Central Bank, Lagarde, speaking. Okay, so two highlights out of all this news. The major ones, of course, going to be FOMC minutes on Wednesday and non-farm payroll on Friday. And that brings us to what happened this past week. We had some good economic data. Market reacted in a positive way to it, and then we have a um, good data on Friday on inflation. Market reacted to it, so we really had a nice run in the markets. I'm just going to give you the numbers. So we finished the month, we finished the quarter, and we finished the half a year. So according to Dow Jones market data, Nasdaq actually had the best half a year since 1983. Nasdaq moved up almost 32%, 31.7% increase in value in the first quarter of this year. As I said, the best half a year according to Dow Jones market data since 1983. S&P moved this quarter 8.3%, and for the half a year or 6 months, 15.9% increase in volume. So great half a year, great quarter for the markets, and let's see what's next. How we'll continue into the second half. Let's move to the MT4 platform now, and we'll go through some markets. And just to remind, again, very important, on Tuesday, the US markets are closed. So we're going to have a market, a very active market on Monday, and even probably more active until closing, because on Tuesday the market will be closed. So some traders might want to get out of their positions, or the opposite, get into the positions. So it's going to be volatility increased. Now we had, as I mentioned, we had some good data supporting the market, and the market had a nice run into closing the half a year. Now this upcoming week we have NFPs, and that's just to remind everyone the three aspects that the Feds are watching in their decision on interest rates. That's how the economy is doing, how the employment is doing, and the most important is how the inflation is doing, because their goal is to bring inflation down to 2%. So the important aspect of employment will be released on Friday as NFP numbers, as you know. Okay, now I forgot to mention about the economic calendar. For those of you that are new to it, it's an important thing. It's a public information. You can find it on our web trader or the app, or you can just Google it. It's, like I said, it's public information being posted by many providers, and important to be prepared so you won't get caught. And whatever I showed you, let's just go back just in case. Whatever I showed you on the economic calendar, that's only the high impact events that I chose. There are more events, you can filter them, you can customize it. And the hours that I choose here, it's a GMT time. So again, you can find it, you can customize it, you can put reminders, you can prepare yourself for the upcoming events, which are very, very important. Like I said, this week's two events are the most important. That's the NFPs on Friday, and we have Wednesday FOMC minutes. That's the discussion of the last FOMC meeting, and we'll know a little bit more about things going forward. Speaking of which, I just want to show you something that sometimes I show. That's according to CME, that's the current situation with probabilities on the next interest rate increase. So the next interest rate increase is the 26th of July. We talk about the Feds. And as of now, that's 86.8% probability that we'll have another 0.25 increase at the end of July. Now you can actually see comparison here. Things, or the odds, are increasing. On June 2nd, it was only 53%, then 71%, 86.80 as of June 30th. We are on the same spot, 86.80 for the next meeting increase. Okay, so these are the probabilities according to traders. Okay, so that's it pretty much, just with explaining the economic calendar. Let's go into the MT4, and we'll start by looking into indices. And you know what, let's start with China. Let's see how China is really working out. We had a sell-off here. There's a lot of tension there, as I mentioned to you last week. A lot of tensions, a lot of technology wars. I think the latest thing that we heard from U.S. government that Biden just said that they will be limiting or cutting at all sales of AI chips by U.S. providers to China. That affected immediately NVIDIA stock and AMD, I believe. So a lot of companies also leaving China, trying to substitute with other producers. So as you know, as you could see, Chinese market is not doing that great. So that's, and as you know, traditionally with Chinese market, I'm showing few assets. That's copper. Copper has been selling also, only Friday bounced, and crude oil has been also in a way on a downtrend, but ranging between $67, $68 and $80 lately. Okay, so that's China. Let's look into US indices. As we said, we had a very robust half the year. We had a weekly increase, a monthly increase, quarterly increase, and half a year increase. So S&Ps, as you could see, weekly we closed at the highs, and on the daily chart we're challenging the recent high of 44.20 and a quarter. Let's see, 44.85 and a quarter. We closed a little bit below it. So that's S&Ps. Nasdaq, as we said, is the leader of the indices as far as the half a year increase. But the same thing, we are challenging the recent highs, and we are a little bit far away from the all-time highs on all the indices. So this is Nasdaq and Dow Jones as well. Very strong performance here. So again, this week we have important events. Let's see if this upside move continues, or we might see reversals and taking profit or change of trend or anything like that. We will hear from the Feds, of course. We are getting closer to the interest rate decision on the 26th of July, and we have NFP numbers, which are going to show how many jobs were added, what's the unemployment level, hourly wages, and other things that are important and then being watched by the Feds in their decision making. Here you have UK 100. We had a nice bounce, and we are facing now the 200 moving average on the daily chart. Lately, we were selling off here. As you know, there was an increase in interest rate from Bank of England that affected the market as well. So we are trying to bounce. Let's see if we are managing this week to close about 200, and it will open a possibility of continuation to the upside. Or we might face a resistance and then reversal and continue lower to look for next support. DAX had a nice bounce also with US indices bouncing. Nice performance by DAX. We are on the way up to retest the all-time highs. We are pretty much sitting at the highs over here. Let's see if this mood continues to the upside. Okay, so that's with indices. By the way, if you take the fear index, some traders like to call it VIX, trading at the super lows around $13. That shows the volatility is low, and some analysts are really worried about it or concerned about it because there is volatility in the market and VIX is not really doing much. So we might see some increase of market actions this week. So that's as far as indices. And let's just touch one more, the Japanese index, which is on the way to a nice recovery. We are closing on Friday at 33,400. It's looking nice after a healthy profit taking here, so we might also continue to the upside. Okay, let's move to stocks. We start with Apple. Amazing news. Apple, a company, is the first to reach 3 trillion market cap. So we had a nice move on Friday, all-time highs for Apple, and market capitalization just reached $3 trillion. So it's the I think the best company if you judge by market cap. We closed at 193.88. Now, interestingly enough, immediately after this news, some analysts again coming out with their predictions that it's going to be slowing in the iPhone sales and so on. Last time they came up with this intense publicity, stock reacted to the downside, but as you could see, we keep on making new highs and just reaching new market cap numbers. So again, we'll be watching Apple. There's no resistance going forward. Doesn't look like it. And we'll see what this week brings to this stock. Now, Google. If you remember a few weeks back, I said Google is the weakest out of big giants. If you take the FANG group, the famous FANG, that's the Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So Google is the weakest one since this drop over here that I mentioned to you a few weeks back. We are trading lower. There's no bounce on the running market and Nasdaq making historical levels. We are not seeing any strong move up on Google. Something is happening there. Maybe we'll be hearing some news confirming that. So that's as far as Google. Uber had a nice run. It's holding since reaching the $45 back on 28th. We are really sitting at the highs. Like I mentioned to you last week, they're entering a new business or new kind of a branch of business that private owners of the cars will be able to share their cars. I don't know how exactly it's going to work out, but it got investors excited. Facebook strong, holding strong, but what you could see that on the Nasdaq moving higher here, Facebook didn't really move higher than the previous few days. So also we could be seeing resistance around here. Just judging by this moves, we'll be watching Facebook going forward. Amazon, a strong stock, but if you take a look, generally we are just coming out the woods, and we still didn't reach that level of August or mid-August of last year, where the sell-off started on Amazon. Netflix, strong and holding since the recent moves. Just to remind everyone, investors and traders got excited about this new restructuring on cutting off on the password sharing. It looks like the customer base is increasing and things are looking better for Netflix. The stock looks good. A nice healthy reaction to the market going higher. And let's see what this week brings. Now on the negative note, Nike reported worse than expected numbers. The stock sold, I believe, about 2.5% after the news, and it's been choppy for Nike recently. So on that news, even though market went higher, of course, on Friday, Nike sold. So let's see if we might continue and retest the lows. We are below 200 moving average as we speak. Tesla, let's take a look at Tesla. Also nice correction since the recent highs we experienced on 21st of June, the high of 276.71. Let's see what's happening here with Tesla. We might see continuation to the upside, or at least retesting the highs. And again, it depends what the market in general will be doing. Teva, if you remember, I mentioned a while ago, and then we start refocusing on Teva again, the pharmaceutical company. If you could see, the stock been trading between $7 and $11. We discussed that, and it looks like we're trying to climb higher with the 3 consecutive weeks slow gains, and then last week it was in red. Let's see, it started really accumulating here in a tight range of 20 cents. If you could see here between 740 and 760. So we'll be continuing watching Teva on possible continuation to the upside. And that's it pretty much with stocks. Let's move to commodity. Yes, you know what? Let's move to commodities. We'll start with gold. Gold got everybody scared last week. We did test the 1900. As I mentioned to you last week, some analysts were predicting that we're going to hit 1900, possibly even 1850. Let's bring the 4-hour chart. There was a sell-off. We had a spike here on the 29th to the downside. The low mark there was 1892.87. Nice recovery within the same 4 hours. And then towards the end of the week, Friday, we raised the 2 days losses, and we could be on the way on retesting the 1950 area that we mentioned. And we did pretty much held the 200 moving average over here on gold. So again, it will depend. It will be depending what the dollar is doing, what FOMC minutes will reveal to us, and definitely the NFP numbers are very sensitive for both US dollar and gold, as they are for equity markets, of course. So let's see how this week works. On the weekly chart, you could see the gold was trying to sell, but closed within the previous week range. So nice recovery, even though a red week. So that's gold. Let's take a look at crude oil. We spoke about it. We had the 3 consecutive days to the upside. We are holding this 67, 68 area, but we are facing resistance at 50-day moving average. As you could see here, we've been doing it for a while. Every time we get close, we are being rejected and moving lower from here. As you could see, the highs became lower and the bottom is holding. So we are kind of forming the edge here, or pretty much we are having a pressure to the downside, and every bounce, at least lately, becomes lower and lower. So when we come back, we might see pressure on this 67, 68 area, and we might break to the downside according to this. Or if you look at the weekly chart, it actually looks as a strong support is being built, but we're not really bouncing strongly from it. So definitely accumulation, definitely holding this 200 moving average on the weekly chart. And let's see which way we're going to move from here, from this pretty much accumulation. Natural gas. Natural gas had the nice attempt, as you could see here, back on the 25th. We went to 290. We came to retest 260, something that I mentioned last week. We did hold that support, and Friday we tried to bounce back. We closed at 277. So it could be that we are building a new step on the way up, as the resistance has become support at 260. So let's see if this momentum continues, and we might go and retest that 302 level that we faced back in March. That's natural gas. Soft commodities. I looked up a little bit fundamentals. It looks like the export of U.S. grains is slowing down, and plenty of the Canadian grains are growing. So maybe that really spooked the grains. As you could see, there was a recent sell-off in wheat. Wheat sold after this recent move to the upside. Corn, for some reason, it looks like very panicky sell-off is happening here. Take a look. After this nice recovery that we mentioned, closing the gap, we just collapsed from here, and we did break the previous support here back on September 2021. We are trading below the level. So let's see, maybe it was overreaction, or we might continue even lower. I marked this level here at 497.25. If we come right back above that level and start building support, we might have a nice reversal to the upside, as this level was followed by new highs. As you could see here, as I mentioned to you, September, the week of September 5th, 2021, that was a bottom of the low here of support, from which we shoot up nicely. So let's see if this overreaction will be corrected to the upside. So that's corn. And soybeans is, interestingly enough, went up on Friday. So out of 3, wheat, corn, soybeans, corn is the weakest, wheat is the second weakest, and soybean is the strongest out of 3. So that's as far as soft commodities. Also, I want to bring up the cocoa, and it is continuing rocking, as you could see here. We had a super strong Friday, and if you take a look at the weekly chart, we'll just keep on continuing climbing, and we are approaching some historical levels. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we tried to break the level of 2018. Now we're just through the 2016 April. We just broke through it, and the high here, if you can look at the chart, this is the weekly chart. The week of December 1st of 2015 could be the next resistance, and the high there was 34.22. We're about 70 points away from there. So take a look. Week, it's a very solid week for cocoa. Straight up closing at the highs. So let's see if that move continues. It's a nice, take a look. Every correction moved the instrument higher. So cocoa definitely worth watching. And let's see again how it will react if it gets to this level here around 34.22. And again, that's about 70 points away. So that's as far as commodities. Let's move to Forex, and we start, of course, with dollar index. Dollar index is really ranging here, as you could see. This is the weekly chart. We did hold 101 area, coming from 104. 2 consecutive weeks we are in green. We are above the 100 moving average here. On the daily chart, we are sitting right between 100 and the 50 moving averages. Again, like as I mentioned, the NFPs this week and FOMC meeting minutes will be affecting equities, gold, and US dollar, of course. So let's see how dollar reacts to those things. As of now, we are on Friday within the Thursday's range, and let's see how this week starts for US dollar. Now, something that caught my attention, that it looks like yen is trying to do something here. As we mentioned, I mentioned almost every week that Bank of Japan is the only major central bank that hasn't done anything with regards to increasing the value or increasing the interest rates. So as you could see here, the dollar yen has been up 3 consecutive weeks. We didn't reach the recent highs, but we are on the way there. So as you could see on daily chart, Friday was a nice reaction to the downside. We closed below the Thursday's opening price, not below the low of Thursday, but below the opening price of Thursday. So this could be continuation. Let's see the other pairs with Japanese yen. Take a look. Euro yen, it's worth watching as well. As you could see here, after this nice move to the upside, we are pausing here. So we might see some actions. Either it's as they say, you buy the rumors, you sell the news. Maybe somebody knows something. Maybe some changes come from Bank of Japan or any other actions of the Japanese government. But as of now, it looks like the Japanese yen is putting that weakness on hold. Let's take a look at other pairs. CHF, JPY, we mentioned also last week. We should be watching it. We did hold this 159.68 level that I mentioned to you. It's not on this chart, but I mentioned to you that's the level of December 1979. So we did hold this level, and we are we closed on Friday at 161.19, and as I said, as it looks on Euro JPY also, we are kind of pausing here. We're trying to break out higher, but we keep on holding this level, and we didn't close above the recent high that was on June 27, 161.28. So it looks like that we might be facing some strength, or at least pause of weakness on Japanese yen. So definitely all the pairs with Japanese yen involved worth watching this week. Similar thing here on the GBP, JPY, as you could see here. We are holding these levels and not managing to move higher. USD ZAR, definitely worth watching. After making all-time highs, that was in the beginning of June, as you could see here, we hit almost 20. That was 1991. We sold and we tried to recover here. Friday we hit 1903 and closed at 1878. So as of now, we could draw some levels here. This was the recent low around 1811, and we are bouncing from that level. Let's see if we continue and try to reach the all-time highs when we hear news this week with Feds. As of now, as we said, we are moving higher from this recent reaction from the all-time highs. We came again to 1811. We bounced off 50 moving average. So we are trading currently between 100 and a 50 moving average on USD ZAR. Now, of course, Turkish lira, it's not much you can say. The situation there is not that great. The currency has been super weak. As you could see, dollar, Turkish lira gained a tremendous amount of gains here, and we are sitting in the highs. So it could be anything. We could continue higher, we could have a correction. It's very hard to say anything here. We don't have any reference to the upside. And one more currency that kind of came to my thoughts, you know, with all the things happening geopolitically and the war between Russia and Ukraine, and European Union trying to help Ukraine, of course, with monetary and help and other help. So the Prime Minister of Hungary is always kind of blocking it or giving a hard time for European Union to help Ukraine. And a few times, the European Union kind of threatened Hungary. If they're not going to open up, they might stop receiving help from European Union. So the first thing that came to mind is the Hungarian forint, which is the local currency. As you could see here, dollar's been super weak against the Hungarian forint. This is the weekly chart. And here, we've been holding steadily. As you could see here, the move started on April 2022 to the upside. We came back and we had like a double bottom here around 335.79. So again, if we hear some fundamentals, that wouldn't be so great for Hungary. And technically speaking, it looks like we have a nice solid support here. So one might think that USD Hungarian forint is due to some move to the upside. So anyway, we are in the range between 335.79 and around 348, 349 here. And let's see if anything positive happens to this pair. It's the first time I'm mentioning it, but just logically speaking, and obviously visually, you could see here that support has been holding here. So some traders actually might take this as an opportunity. Take a look at the daily chart. We bounced from here, made a high from the previous. Then we came all the way down again. We retested. We held that level. Another spike, tested it again, and now 3 consecutive days to the upside. So it could be that we're coming out of the woods over here, and we might be facing resistance here around 348. And if we do break this level, we might be seeing a next level of continuation to the upside. Okay, so that's as far as Forex, and let's wrap it up with Bitcoin. Strong previous week on Bitcoin that we closed higher, and this week is so far is flat, I think. We are on the new week, so this is the start. Very strong week. We raised pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, almost 10 days of decline was erased in 1 week, and we are holding. So let's see if we are continuing. It looks nice after this intense move to the upside from 25 to 30.5. we are holding. So 30, it's kind of becoming 30,000 becoming support. It looks like it. And let's see if this move continues to the upside on Bitcoin. Okay, that's it pretty much. I want to thank everyone for coming to our webinars. I want to wish you a great weekend. Get some energy, get some rest, prepare yourself for the intense week. And every week is intense in a good way on trading, of course. And volatility is a great thing for the trader. If you know what you're doing, if you are working on protecting yourself as far as your equity, as far as risk management and money management. Just to put it all together for this upcoming week, we had for the last week we had some great data for the market. Market made nice moves to the upside, some historical moves for Nasdaq. The best, like I mentioned, the best half year since 1983. And let's see if this momentum continues this upcoming week. We have NFPs, we have FOMC meeting minutes. Those are powerful events, and let's see how market react to it. And we are getting closer to the next Fed's decision. And as of now, the percentage of the increase of another 0.25 is high. Again, thank you all. Have a wonderful week, and we'll be back next week. All the best.